On this episode of Strength Coach Tutorials, I am going to show you how to merge multiple tables into one master table that will automatically update whenever you enter new data. So if I was to enter a new athlete in here, say athlete 10, and then go to my data tab and refresh, you're going to see that that athlete is automatically added to my master data table. We can set this up to automatically update every couple of minutes so that every time we are putting new data in our main tables is going to match it up and put it in our master data table. This is going to be really useful for anyone who is managing multiple sources of data and wants to match it up to do any sorts of reports or testing documents or anything like that. So let's get after it. Okay, so we are starting off this video with a completely blank sheet, and we are going to merge together two data tables. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is actually create my data table. So I'm going to type in athlete name and then date, and let's put 1RM as the value that we are tracking here. And I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so that we can see it. And what I'm going to do here is just select a bunch of cells, go to home and format it as a table. So I can click format as table, and I'm going to put my table has headers and hit OK. And then let's name this table. So I'm going to call it TBL data 1RM. And all I did to do that was go to tables design and then table name and hit OK. So I'm just going to put in a bunch of data here. Athlete 1, athlete 1, athlete 1, athlete 1, athlete 1, athlete 2, athlete 2, athlete 2, athlete 2. We'll put 5 of each. And then I'm just going to put in some dates, and just to make things simple, I'm going to just use simple dates. So 1/1/20, 1/2/20, 1/3/20, 1/4/20, 1/5/20. And I'll just do the same thing for athlete 2. And then just so that we're able to track the 1RM data pretty easily, I'm just going to use, for athlete 1, I'm just going to use values in the 100s, and athlete 2, I'll use values in the 200s. So I'll go 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. Oh, sorry, 140. And then we'll do the same thing for athlete 2. So we'll go 200, 210, 220, 230, 240. So that is going to be our 1RM data table. And then I'm going to use this to create our second data table. So the one trick for this is we're going to be matching two data cells, and then we're going to be pulling in the data based on that. So for the next one, we'll take the athlete and the date data cell, and I will paste that over here and create another table out of that, make it just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to name this, it's not formatted as a table. So let's format it as a table first. Format as table, my table has headers, hit OK. And let's add a few more cells to this. So maybe this is a wellness monitoring. So we'll go mood, 1 to 5, stress, 1 to 5, sleep, 1 to 5, and then a score. And the score is where we will total up all of the different values. So for this table, we will call it TBL data wellness. And that is how we will refer to it. And then for these values here, I'm just going to use a function called randbetween equals randbetween. And then it's going to ask me my bottom and top values. So we'll take 1 and 5 and hit OK. And I'm just going to copy this across to create values in all the different cells. And after I've created them, all I did was copy them and paste the values back in so that the randbetween function doesn't keep refreshing every time we do something. And then for the sum or the score, we'll just use a sum function. So I'll hit equals sum, open that up, and we'll take all of the values and hit brackets and then close that off. So we have two different tables here. We have a 1RM tracking table and a wellness tracking table. And this could really be whatever we wanted or any number of tables that we wanted. But for the purposes of this video, this is what we'll use. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. And what we want to do is in a master table, every time there is a value for athlete 1 on a date, we want to pull all of that into one table. So for example, we might want to know what the 1RM was in the table when the mood was 7, 9, 9, etc. Okay, so I'm going to pull the whole or both of these tables together into one master table. And to do this, we're going to use something built into Excel called Power Query. And what Power Query is it is another piece of almost like a software built into Excel that allows us to work with lots of different types of data. So let's get this process started. We have our data now. Let's get after this. So what I want to do to make this happen is I'm going to click anywhere in my first table that I want to use, and I'm going to go to the Data tab. And where it says Get Data, if I go over a couple from there, I'm going to pick the one that says From Table or Range. When I click that, it's going to open up the Power Query editor, okay, and actually bring that table into Power Query. Now, I don't want to do anything to this table particular or right now, but I do want to load it in. So up here in the top left corner, there's a function for close and load. I can click there and I'm going to pick close and load to. And then it's going to pull open a little box that looks like this. And what I want to do is only create the connection, and then I want to add this to my data model. Okay, so there's two different things that you have to click there, and I'm going to hit OK. And you can see it's going to pull open my data model on the right hand side here. I have some other tables in there from the intro video, but I'm going to do the same thing for the second table. So again, click anywhere in the second table, From Table Range, close and load to, and then I want to only create connection and add to data model and hit OK. So how you'll know if you did this correctly is over here under your queries and connections, okay? And to get that, we would just click the queries and connections box in the data tab. You're gonna see the two tables that we entered. So we entered table data 1RM and table data wellness. Now from here, we're gonna use a merge function. So under my get data tab, okay, so I'm on the data tab under get data. I'm gonna go all the way down to where it says combine queries, and I'm going to select merge. And under merge now, it's going to ask me what tables I want to create the merge out of. So I'm going to select my two tables. The first one is table data 1RM, and then the second one is table data wellness. And then it's going to ask me to select cells or columns within these tables. So for the purposes of our project, we want to match based on the athlete name and the date. So what I'm going to do is holding down Control, I'm going to select the athlete name column and the date column, and then the same thing under the table data wellness. So the athlete name column and the date column, and then it's going to say this selection matches 10 of 10 rows from the list table. When I hit OK, it's going to open up that Power Query editor one more time. Instead, now what you're going to see is we have table 1 with our athlete name, our date, and our 1RM values. And then over here, we have table data wellness. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do in this table is I want to actually change this date because it's giving me a time. So if I just click on the date icon or the calendar, I can change this to just a date. So now we've changed it all the way to just being the date. The 1RM, we can change the data type, but I don't mind it being a number, a 1, 2, 3. The athlete name, the data type is text. It's signified by ABC. And now under table data wellness, what you'll see is it's actually added the table. So I need to select the actual columns that I want out of there. So over here, there's a little icon to the right of it. If I click there, it's going to ask me what I want to do. So instead of selecting all columns, I only care about the mood, stress, sleep, and score because my dates and my athlete names should be the same. So I'm going to select all 4 of those, and when I hit OK, you can see that now those have added to my table. So the next thing I want to do is just rename these. So you can see that it's given it the name table data wellness dot whatever the column was signified as. So I'm just going to double click here and call this one mood 1 to 5, and I'll do the same thing on the next one, stress 1 to 5, sleep 1 to 5, and then the last one we'll call score. And that's really all we have to do now. I'm going to go back to my close and load because this is all set up properly. And I'll hit close and load 2. And now this time, I want to close and load it to a table and put it on an existing worksheet. And it's going to ask me where I want to put that. I'm going to just put it right beside these tables here. And then I'll hit add this to the data model and OK. And what you're going to notice is that it's automatically merged those two tables together as well as all of the scores. Now, a couple things we're going to do first before we start to play around with this is I'm going to click anywhere on the table, and under table design, I can do all of the normal things that I would be able to do with any other table, including properties, rename it. So let's call this table data merge. And then under properties, when we open that up, one thing that you might want to do is unselect where it says adjust column width. And why we would do this is so that every time we update the data, it's not changing the actual width of the column and everything stays the way that you actually want it to be. So I'm going to unselect that and hit OK. And then the next thing I'm going to do is selecting in this data, I'm going to go to query, and under query, we're going to go to properties, and it's going to open up a table that looks like this. And there's going to be a lot of different options in here, but under usage, what we might want to do is hit refresh, and I can select the time period that I actually want it to refresh. So I can go anywhere from every minute all the way up to as many minutes as I want to put. I can select that I want it to refresh the data every time I open the file. And I can select that I want it to refresh anytime I click refresh all. And I can select that I want it to have a fast data load. Okay, so for the purpose of our video, I'm just going to select 5 minutes and hit OK. And it's going to think about it for a second. And that is really all we have to do. So now that we have those two tables managed, because I selected 5 minutes, it's going to check these two tables every time. And every 5 minutes, it's going to update this table, the green one, to reflect what the first two tables said. But let's say another athlete came in, athlete 3, and they came in on 2/2/2020, and they had a 300 pound or kilo 1RM, and then they also had a mood score on that day. Athlete 3, 2/2/2020, and there were 5s across the board. I'm just going to delete this row. And I'll go to my data, and if I was to refresh it, what you're going to notice is it will automatically add athlete 3 into our actual data file. Oh, there we go. So that's how you merge two tables. And some of the use cases for this, maybe you want to store all of your data in a separate file and then merge them all into one data table in the file that you're actually doing your visualizations in. Or maybe you want to track your different metrics in different tables, or maybe you want to put your monitoring and your 1RM values together. So I hope this trick helps you out. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell notification, and if you could comment below how you're using this trick, that would really be useful to me, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.